What's up, boys? This is Contango coming at you from Waterloo, Ontario, Canada. And today we are going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to be starting a YouTube war. So this is the first time I've ever done a YouTube war, but I'm going to be playing a game against some opponents. So give you a little introduction here. So we're going to play 1940 Global Alternate Universe. So obviously we're starting in round one. Contango, that's me. I'm going to be playing the Axis. I'm going to be playing against Corporal Clegg and Piloto, two guys that are no strangers to playing YouTube wars. So I'm going to be the newbie in terms of YouTube wars, and they're going to be new at G40 Alt Universe. So they both printed the map off, and they've gotten it all set up and ready to go. So we're ready to start. As you can see there, this is kind of the situation for the Axis at the start of the game. They've got 6 cities, whereas the Allies have 16. And you can see the income differential there, almost 100 difference in income, starting income for the Axis and the Allies. So we got a lot of ground to cover. So just by way of introduction, so we've got everything set up here. I'm going to be using a couple of, well, you can see little yellow blocks on the board. Just put that on to make it easy to show where the cities are. They are marked on the board, but just thought that might be a little bit easier to highlight them a little bit. What else? So I'm using Grasshopper's battle dice. Got them over here. So I've laid out what the numbers represent. So black is 1s, green is 2s, blue is 3s, reds are 4s. And then up there I've got just laid out what the chips represent. So grays are 1s, greens are 3s, reds are 5s. And I do have some black chips. I think the only one on the board is up in this area here. So that's going to represent 10, because I will run out of red chips probably before the end. So I think that's everything that I wanted to go over in terms of introduction. So I guess let's get started. So first things first is the political situation. So Germany is up first, and they are going to be declaring war on the UK and on France. So going against my better judgment, and I'm going to go ahead and declare war on France. If you're unfamiliar, France is indefinitely neutral in this game, so you can kind of ignore them if you want to, but I'm not going to this game. I wanted to play a game going against France. I haven't done that for a while, so here we go. So Germany's declaring war on the UK and France. I've got my purchases up here, so just find a spot to rest the camera here. So that is for $44. We've got, it's a little bit hard to see, but that's 8 infantry, 2 artillery, and 3 mechanized infantry. Yeah, so not the best shot, but anyway. Yeah, and you might see I've got, that's kind of an ANZAC artillery. I've got a couple other ANZAC artillery over here for Germany for the moment because I ran out, and I don't want to steal from I've got 2 sets actually of 1940 Global, but I don't want to steal from the other one because I don't want to get them mixed up. So we're going to borrow from ANZAC until we kind of consolidate some things. So let's start with our combat moves. So the first thing is in C-Zone 97, I've got 1 sub. It's going to go into C-Zone 95, attack the transport. From 56, I've got 1 submarine. It's going to go against these British ships, and another submarine from 37 is going to go in there as well. In C-Zone 40, I'm going to bring both of these subs and get a little crowded in here. And there'll be planes joining that in a minute. From C-Zone 6, we've got 1 sub. It's going to come in here to C-Zone 22. And then basically all of the rest of the ships that are up north here are going to be joining that submarine in C-Zone 22. So we've got a cruiser there, an aircraft carrier, battleship, destroyer. Now this transport is going to pick up 1 artillery from, I think this is Germany G4. Can't see it right now, but I'm going to pick up 1 artillery from here. There was 2. And it's going to move up here into C Zone 8 and pick up an infantry, and then go 2 more spaces. And it's going to hopefully drop them into UK 5. So these 2 planes were on the aircraft carrier. So joining the fight in C Zone 22, I just realized that you can't see what I'm doing, so I apologize for that. So you can see all the ships in C Zone 22 there. Adding, actually not this fighter, the one from, I think this is G6, is going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. So he has 0 movement left. He's going to land on the carrier, theoretically. And then we'll take this tactical bomber as well. 1, 2. So I'll mark that. He's got 2 movement left. Then into C Zone 40, I'm going to take a tactical bomber and a fighter from G13. So I'm going to kind of set it down here, but it's going to C Zone 40. So those guys they're flying over this pro-Allied territory. So that's going to mean that that pro-Allied territory is going to, it's going to be like it's attacked. So this is a special rule in G40 alt universe, that you can fly over neutral territories whenever you want to, as long as they're not friendly neutral territories. So those are going to have 2 movement left. They're going to be joined by this fighter from C Zone 24. It's going to go 1, 2. So it's also going to have 2 movement left. These fighters from G5 as well. They have an air base, so they're going to go 1, 2, 3, and also have 2 movement left. These 2 tactical bombers, which were in G5, will go 1, 2, 3. Also have 2 movement left. And then this fighter here from, what is this, G15 maybe? Yeah. It's going to go 1, 2, 3. So also having 2 movement left. So all those planes have 2 movement left. So then we've got this bomber up here in G5. It's going to go 1, 2, 3 into UK 5, join that fight. And then this bomber from G15 is going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. I think that's the shortest route. 1, 2, 3, yeah. It's going to be 4 either way. So it's going to join in that fight as well. So one of those bombers is going to have 4 movement left, and one is going to have 3. All right, so while we're here, into IN2 is going to be 3 infantry from G4, as well as 1 artillery. This tank from G7 is going to go through G4 and into IN2. And then this mechanized infantry from G5 is going to go through G4 into IN2. So 6 units attacking 2. Into F5. Get rid of that. This is 6 infantry from G8. 2 mechanized infantry from G11. 2 tanks from G11 also going into F5. 1 artillery from G11 into F5. And then this tactical bomber from G15 is going to go 1, 2, and into F5. So he'll have 3 movement remaining, if I can find a 3. Okay, So into F2, we're going to have 3 infantry from G11, plus the artillery from G11, 2 infantry from G10, plus the tank from G10, and then the mechanized infantry from G13 is going to join that as well. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 against 3. All right, so down here into PA9, pro-allied neutral. Get rid of this arrow. So we got 3 infantry from G17, the artillery from G17, tank from G17, and then 2 mechanized infantry and a tank from G18. So that should be 8 units against 2. This fighter is staying in G17. He's not going to do anything on the combat move. Into F6. So we're going to take 1 infantry from G21 to F6. We're going to take from G19, an infantry and artillery are going to board this transport in C zone 60. They're also going to end up in F6. So this transport's coming over to C zone 71. The battleship is also coming over to C zone 71. And I'm going to keep the cruiser separate. Cruiser isn't going to participate in this. The battleship will. But the cruiser wants to move on the non-combat move. So I think that's all my attacks. So what I'm going to do now is just pause and make sure I didn't miss anything. And then we'll come back and roll the dice. So give me 1 second to just check my work here. Okay, so I'm back. I am going to make one minor little change. I'm going to take this 1 extra infantry in G21 into, what is this, F6 here. So otherwise, happy with what I had before. So let's, I guess, roll some dice. So, and actually before we do that, I actually checked with Corporal Clegg and Piloto already, and they did not want to scramble into either of these C-zone battles. They had the opportunity to scramble up here in C-zone 22 or here into C-zone 40, but elected not to. So let's go ahead. So we should start with, let's start with this battle up at the top. We need to do the amphibious assaults first. So this battle needs to be completed. So we are going to have, I guess I can move this onto the battle board. So give me 1 second to do that. All right, so we moved this onto the battle board. Hoping you can see that okay. Guess black wasn't the best of colors to put behind this, but here we are. So we have a destroyer and a submarine, so that's going to be 2 greens. We got a cruiser and a fighter. It's going to be 2 blues, and then a battleship and a tactical bomber. So that's going to be 2 reds. And before I roll this to Corporal Clegg and Piloto, good luck and have fun. All right, so we've got 4 hits, so that's going to be enough to clear everything, all the British units. So then we need to roll for them. This is going to be 1 green, 1 blue, and 1 red. And 1 hit only. So I'm going to damage my battleship. I don't have the damage markers, so I'm just going to tip it on its side the old-fashioned way. So let me put these back on the board. Okay, so those ships are back on the board. All right, so next we'll do this amphibious assault. I'm not going to take it off the board, so it's going to be an infantry and artillery and 2 bombers versus an infantry and an artillery. So We're going to take 2 greens for the infantry and the artillery, 2 reds for the 2 bombers. So that's 3 hits, so the British units are gone, and then we just need to see what they kill on the way down. So that's two greens, and they get 1 hit. So Germany is okay with that. Did not want to have to lose a bomber there. So we'll take the infantry and then both the UK units. All right, so next we should do this amphibious assault here. Again, I'm not going to take that off the board. So we've got an infantry and an artillery pair, 2 infantry not paired. Then we have the battleship bombardment. Oh, 4 hits. So that's good news. So for the French, 2 green dice, I should say, and 1 hit. All right, so 2 French units are gone. We'll take 1 German infantry from there. All right, what do we want to do next? Well, this transport is dead without a fight, so we'll get rid of that. That was in C-Zone 95. Let's go to C-Zone 35 over here. So we've got 2 submarines versus a destroyer and a transport. So 2 submarines missed. So the destroyer, so he gets a hit. So we'll remove 1 sub, and the Germans are going to keep going. And they miss, so the British roll back. So that is not good. So we lost both of our subs, and the British ships both remain in C-Zone 35. Something's got to go poorly, right? All right, so next let's go to C-Zone 40. So we've got 2 subs, 5 fighters, 3 tactical bombers versus a destroyer, a cruiser, and a battleship. So I'll leave that on the board again. Hope that's okay with you guys. So we have 2 submarines. We have 5 fighters, 5 blues, and then we have 3 tactical bombers. All right. So we've got plenty of hits there. That's 6, 7 hits. So we needed 1, 2, 3, 4 hits, so that's more than enough. Then we're going to return fire for the destroyer, the cruiser, and the battleship, the French battleship. So 2 hits. So we will clear off these units, and then we need to take 2 casualties, which I believe is going to be the subs. I don't see any reason not to do that. Okay, so we have some ground battles remaining here. So let's go to this Pro-Allied 9, which, as you can see, has 2 defenders. So I've got, I guess it'll be 4 unpaired infantry, an infantry and an artillery, and then 2 tanks. So versus 2 defending infantry. So let's get 4 unsupported infantry, an infantry and an artillery, and then 2 tanks. So looking for 2 hits, which we get. So the defenders are dead, but get to roll back. 2 green dice, and they get 1 hit. So I'm going to lose 1 infantry. Clean this up later. Okay, so now we are down to the France territories and the independent neutral. So we're going to do next this independent neutral. So that's it'll be an infantry and artillery, 3 unpaired infantry, and a tank, and there is 2 defenders there, if I'm not mistaken. Where is this? There you go, 2. So all right, so we've got, three unsupported infantry, an infantry and artillery, and then 1 tank. Okay. All right, so we got our 2 hits. That's all we needed. So defenders get no hits. So that's good news for Germans. Okay, so let's do, what is this, F2? Get rid of that arrow. Yeah, this is F2. So we've got this will pair with mechanized infantry. So we've got 5 unsupported infantry, an infantry and artillery, and then a tank. And there are 3 defenders there, 2 infantry and an artillery. Okay, so 5 unsupported infantry, infantry and artillery, and a tank. Just make sure I did that right. Yes. Okay. So there's 2 hits. So right away I'll take off the 2 French infantry. We'll go in the pile here. And then the French get to roll back. Still got their artillery remaining after this. So 3 green dice, one hit. So we will take from the Germans 1 infantry. So the Germans are down to 4 regular infantry, mechanized infantry, and a tank. So now 4 unsupported infantry, infantry and an artillery, and a tank. Yeah, sorry, just checking my work there. Okay, so 2 hits, and we only needed 1 for the artillery that's remaining. So the French are gonna roll 1 green die. And they miss. Okay, so we get rid of the remaining French artillery. And that battle is over. And so I believe the last remaining battle is here in F5 with the minor factory. By the way, I've got some factories that are actually these plastic ones. Some are still the little cardboard cutouts because I didn't have enough. Okay, so we've got, this is 6 infantry, 2 mechanized infantry, and artillery, 2 tanks, and a tactical bomber. So that's going to be 7 at 1, 2 at 2, 2 at 3, and 1 at 4. So there's 7 at 1, if you can see that. 2 at 2, 2 at 3, and 1 at 4. And The French here, I didn't mention it, but they've got 4 infantry and an artillery that's kind of gotten pushed around. Okay. And we get 3 hits out of that. So France will obviously take 3 infantry, so there was a green ship there. They had 4 infantry total, so removing that. I know it's off screen, but okay, so the French had 5 defenders. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Get rid of these blue dice. 2 hits. All right, let's come back here for a second. So the Germans are going to take 2 infantry. So they'll have 4 regular infantry remaining. Okay, so this is 4 regular infantry. They had 2 mechanized, so one of them is going to be paired and one isn't. So that's the one that isn't. Then the mechanized infantry and the artillery pair, 2 tanks, and a tactical bomber. So we needed 2 hits, we got 3. Okay, so the French have 2 defenders remaining, and they get 1 more hit. So not bad for the French on that one. So we'll remove these 2. And we need to take 1 more casualty as the Germans. So I'm going to get rid of this green ship. Come back with 2 grays. Okay, so I think that's all the battles. That went reasonably well. Just did not enjoy this season on 35 over here, but otherwise can't complain too much. So I'm going to pause it here, just check to make sure I didn't miss anything, and then we'll jump into the non-combat moves. Okay, so I don't think I missed anything. So let's go ahead and start doing some non-combat moves. So to start with, we can get rid of some of these arrows. We're all done with those now. Okay. This tactical bomber and fighter are just going to stay there with the aircraft carrier. I'll clean that up later and actually put them on there at some point. But they're just going to stick around in C-Zone 22. And I just realized that this battleship should be tipped. I forgot about that when I brought it back. So it's damaged. But otherwise, they still have all of the units from there. These units are all in here. Okay, so all these units, actually, all of the infantry in G5 and the artillery in G5 are going to G4. I'm going to take 1. Actually, I think I'll take 1 anti-aircraft gun and split the other one up. So it can stay there. If you can see this, up north in G2 on the island, taking all 3 infantry and moving them into PX2. We're going to pick up 3 more infantry, so that's pro-axis. Do the income for that later. In G6, all of these units are going to come this way into G5. The infantry and artillery are going to come into G5. The tanks and the mechanized infantry from G6 are going to roll through into G4. With the rest of the group there. These 3 infantry in G7 are going to move into PX3 and pick that up, and along with it, 3 more infantry. So grab a green ship. This tactical bomber that was in F5, I think it is. Yes. Had 3 movement left. It's going to go 1, 2, 3 and end up in G5. So we got 2 bombers here, one with 3 movement left. It's going to go to G5. 1, 2, 3. The one with 4 movement left. Trying to think where I want that. I'll put it here in G11 for now. Might change my mind about that at the end. But for now it's going there. These 3 infantry and artillery in G13 are going to move up to G10. The units from G15 are going to go into G11, so that's 2 AA guns, 2 artillery, 2 infantry, and actually, yeah, let's do that. These 4 infantry in G16 are going to come down into PX6 and pick that up, along with 3 more infantry. So I'm going to throw another green chip under there. That's 2 green chips for the record. This infantry and AA gun in G19 are going to come down into Italy 1. This destroyer in C-Zone 59 is going to C-Zone 71 with the battleship. The cruiser, which did not participate, is going to come down here. Can you see this? No, you can't. So it was here and started in C-Zone 71, so it's going to go 1, 2, down into C-Zone 86 with the Italian fleet there. This infantry in G18 is going to go to G17. Fighter in G17 is going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 into I5 with the airbase. So this AA gun is going to come into here to PX5 and pick up these 2 infantry. These units were all already in here. Okay, so all these planes that were in C-Zone 40 that I've placed haphazardly over here, they all have 2 movement left. So they are going to go some of them are definitely going into G10 here. So they have 2 movement left, so they go 1, 2, or into G11. Actually, I think they're all going to go into G11. Clean that up later. I might change my mind on that when I check my notes. Okay. So I think that's everything that can move. So I'm just going to pause now, check my notes and make sure I did that the way I intended. Then I'll come back, place my units, and do the income. Okay, upon review, I want to do one thing slightly differently. This bomber was here and had 4 movement. It's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. It's going to end there in G15. But otherwise, I think we're good. So let's place our units. We've got 8 infantry. So I'm just going to split this up. Okay, so 7 of the infantry are going to go up into G5. And 1 infantry is going to go into G21. So now we've got 2 artillery. I'm just going to swap this out for chip. They're also going to go into G5. Actually, we've got four artillery now, so I'm going to swap the grays for the green. Okay, so then we have 3 mechanized infantry. They are all going to get built in G15 right here. Okay, so for income, I'm going to go ahead and flip all of these territories that we took. You don't need to watch me do this. I'm going to pause it while I do this. Okay, so I have adjusted all of the incomes. I now have Germany at 58 with the Americans. UK went down 2 to 43 because of UK 5, I think it is. And then the French went from 32 to 30 to 27, excuse me. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 taken from the French. Yeah, so Germany is at 58. So collecting 58. Then we also have 1 national objective for being at peace with the Soviet Union. So that'll be 58 plus 5, 63. And then what's going to have to happen, because Germany took this factory from the French, they're going to plunder that, and this factory from the UK, they're going to plunder that. So they're going to need to get 3 IPCs from the UK and 3 IPCs from France. So from their cash on hand. So let me do that quickly. I'm going to collect that. All right, so Germany is collecting, this is 58, they collect 58, 5 for the national objective, 3 from the UK, and 3 from France, for a total of 69. And then the UK should be down to 42, because they started at 45. The French should be down to 13, they started at 16. So I think that's it for income. So the last thing I'll do is just kind of go over units in each territory. So we have in Season 95, 1 sub, 86, 1 cruiser, 71, a destroyer, a battleship, and a transport. Up here in Season 22, if I can set this down. Sorry, getting used to this. Okay, so in Season 22, we have a transport, a carrier, a fighter, a tactical bomber, a damaged battleship, a cruiser, a sub, and a destroyer. So down here in F6, we have 2 infantry and an artillery. I'll do G20 while we're down here, 2 infantry and an AA gun. In PA9, we have 2 infantry, 2 mechanized infantry, an artillery, and 2 tanks. In PX5, we have 2 infantry and an AA gun. In G21, 1 infantry. G17, 1 infantry. In PX6, we have 7 infantry. I kind of skipped some units down here. In I5, we have 1 fighter. In I1, we have an infantry and an AA gun. In G15, we have a strategic bomber and 3 mechanized infantry. In G11, we have 2 AA guns, 2 infantry, 2 artillery, 3 tactical bombers, and 5 fighters. In G10, we have 3 infantry and an artillery. In F2, we have 4 infantry, an artillery, a mechanized infantry, and a tank. In F5, we have 3 infantry, 2 mechanized infantry, 2 tanks, and artillery. In PX3, we have 6 infantry. In IN2, we have 3 infantry, an artillery, a mechanized infantry, and a tank. In G4, 11 infantry, 3 tanks, 2 mechanized infantry, 1 AA gun, and 1 artillery. In G5, this is 13 infantry, 4 artillery, 2 AA guns, a tactical bomber, and a bomber, strategic bomber. And then in PX2, we have 6 infantry. And I think that covers it. Yeah, so I think that's everything. Just a reminder to take the money out of France and UK's cash on hand. So Russia is up next. If you're watching this and you're new to Alt Universe, it's the same turn order as G40 out of box. So Russia comes up next, followed by Japan. So good luck to Corporal Clegg and to Piloto. Piloto's playing Russia, I believe, so he should be up next. So take a look to his channel to see the next turn. All right, thanks guys. Talk to you later.